Hello everybody. Today I want to talk about the last part of the 4 major sections discussion. Discussion section ties the other sections of your research report together by connecting parts of the report with one another. In this section, the following would be presented. First of all, major findings. Your major findings are actually an interpretation of the results using tables or figures and should be discussed in relation to the overriding theoretical framework, as well as the research problem, purpose, and questions or hypotheses. Researchers should compare their findings with those from previous research and describe how what you find extends existing knowledge. Now, we'll illustrate the discussion with the article on hospital-acquired pressure ulcer. As we have shown before, the study focused on the 4 specific research questions. So, correspondingly, the discussion was organized based on the 4 research questions. And when reporting the prevalence of the hospital-acquired pressure ulcer, compare with the findings in previous research. Secondly, to indicate the limitations of study that were identified while conducting the study. The limitations are threats to validity and should be noted as such. For example, limitations related to measurement, such as self-report for unhealthy behaviors, are threats to construct validity. Limitations related to sample, for example, sample size, response rate, that threaten external validity. Or the limitation related to design, for example, convenience sampling, or lack of randomization, that threaten internal validity. These limitations influence the generalizability of the findings. Here are the limitations indicated in the study on hospital-acquired pressure ulcer. The first limitation is related to design. The second limitation is related to variables. And the last is related to sample. Thirdly, to draw conclusions from findings. The research report should include the conclusions or the knowledge generated from the findings. Conclusions are frequently stated in tentative or speculative terms because one study by itself does not produce conclusive findings that can be generalized to the larger population. If your study is valid and the findings are consistent with previous study, you will make a statement related to generalization. You might provide a brief rationale for accepting certain conclusions and rejecting others. Here is the conclusion drawn from a study on hospital-acquired pressure ulcer. Preventing hospital-acquired pressure ulcer is an important nursing concern for hospitalized patients, and multimodal intervention was applied in order to decrease the rate of hospital-acquired pressure ulcer. This is the conclusion of the study. Fourthly, to indicate the implications of the findings. The conclusions should be discussed in light of their implications for knowledge, theory, and practice. If there is enough evidence for application, you will describe how the findings and conclusions might be implemented in specific practice areas. Lastly, to recommend for the future research. Based on the limitations, identify how revising the methods for future studies on the same topic may produce findings with greater validity. For example, are the findings sufficient for application? If not, what designs may result in a more rigorous study? If several descriptive studies have been reported, should a correlation study be the next step? If correlation evidence has been reported, is it time to develop a model or test with an experimental study? Also, the discussion section of the report demonstrates the value of conducting the study by describing its contribution to knowledge. Here are recommendations for the future studies. Future studies are encouraged, and initiatives should be customized to the needs of professionals in each institution. In addition, for quantitative study, the generalizability of the findings to other samples and populations is usually addressed. Demographic and health characteristics of the sample are compared to the same characteristics of the population to examine the extent to which the sample is representative of the target population. Convenient samples are less representative of the target population than are randomly selected samples. So that's how to write the discussion section. Thank you.